Jobs. One of my jobs was that of analyst. I also was an interrogator and indeed briefed the press when we, the CIA, wanted to circulate disinformation on a particular issue. Disinformation is not necessarily a lie. It may be a half-truth.
If you see me in the streets, better holler at me. Seeking for a beat, throw them dollars at me. I don't like defeat, take that away from me. You tryna be like me, you couldn't handle my story. But we gon' let you know, we gon' let you know. We gon' let you know, we gon' let you know.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in and welcome back to yet another episode, man. Hey, they call me Mr. J. I'm a Mumbalandian and I live out in the diaspora and I do drop vlogs every day. And unfortunately, for the past couple of days, man, I've not been consistently doing that because of ill health. But we are back at it, and I want us to talk about something real interesting today. Before we get started, please, if you've not done it, do not forget to always support us, please. It's going to mean a whole lot to Mr. J. If you can just give us a thumbs up, the more of the thumbs up you give us, the more YouTube shows, whatever I'm dropping, whatever vlog that comes on, to a whole lot of people. Now, ladies and gentlemen, quick question. Have you ever paused? Have you ever asked yourself, is everything you see on TV real? Have you ever wondered, or have you ever, took some time out to ask yourself, did everything that I learned in school was real? Well, if you've done that, now we're going to talk about something real quick. So, history has it that we've had a whole lot of wars, a whole lot of crises around the world, and a whole lot of countries have different ways to which to react to certain crises around the world. And what if I told you that some of these crises or some of these wars that you see around and the information that went on TV or the information that you read on printed media, the newspaper, and nowadays we call it social media. What if I told you that some of that information probably was manipulated? In other words, what if I told you that most of the things you watch on TV today from the West and you read on social media, what if I told you some of those things are propaganda? Propaganda to sway the thinking of a particular side. Would you believe me? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I came across a video of a CIA talking about the whole concept of propaganda. And for the past 100 years, man, when we look at the world, man, there's one power that has been in so many wars. You start asking yourself if they were created to just go to war. And this power is one of those countries today that spends enormous amount of money just on defense and its military. And of course, if you guessing that is the United States, you guessed right. The past century, man, we've seen that America has been in multiple wars and America has been involved in multiple one-sided propaganda, which you don't even need to take it from me. Now, if you are the kind of person that is very gullible and you are not the kind of person who looks at the flip side, because I will tell you this, man, growing up as a kid, a whole lot of things I thought were real. As an adult today, man, I'm realizing that it was all propaganda. But let me not talk. Let's watch the video and then I will come back and I will tell you exactly what I have to say. Let's watch the video.
I think you've got no idea what disinformation is, and I don't think the government's capable of it. Do you know who the greatest propagator of disinformation in the history of the world is? The U.S. government. The U.S. government. The U.S. government. Are you familiar with McNamara, the Pentagon Papers? Are you familiar with George W. Bush and the weapons of mass destruction? Are you familiar with Iran-Contra? I don't trust government to figure out what the truth is. Government is largely disseminating disinformation.
My job was that of analyst. I also was an interrogator and indeed briefed the press when we, the CIA, wanted to circulate disinformation on a particular issue. Disinformation is not necessarily a lie. It may be a half-truth. And we would pick out a journalist. I would go do the briefing and hope that he would put the information in print. For instance, if we wanted to get across to the American public that the North Vietnamese were building up their force structure in South Vietnam, I would go to a journalist and advise him that in the past 6 months, X number of North Vietnamese forces had come down the Ho Chi Minh Trail system through southern Laos. Now, there is no way a journalist can check that information. So either he goes with the information or he doesn't, and ordinarily or usually the journalist would go with it because it looked like some kind of exclusive. And I would say our percentage planning that kind of data was 70 to 80%. We would go after these gentlemen. I would be directed to cultivate them, to spend time with them at the Caravel Hotel or the Continental Hotel, to socialize with them, and slowly but surely to try to gain their confidence by dolloping out valid information which was true. And then I would drop into a conversation the data that we wanted to get across, which might not be true. One piece of data, for instance, that we managed to plan in the New Yorker magazine had to do with a supposed North Vietnamese effort in 1973 to develop airfields along the border of South Vietnam. The reason we wanted to plant this information was that we were trying to persuade the U.S. Congress that Saigon should continue to get a great deal of aid, and that the North Vietnamese were the chief violators of the ceasefire accord. That was printed in the New Yorker magazine under the byline of Robert Chaplin, as indeed was a great deal of such information which we tried to circulate. If I planted a piece of information with a reporter, I would ordinarily then try to create an environment in which he could not check the information. I would go to the British ambassador and brief him on the disinformation I had just given the reporter. So when the reporter wanted to cross-check what I'd told him with, say, the British ambassador, New Zealand ambassador, or what have you, he would get false confirmation, the same message coming back at him, and he'd say, aha, I've got proof that Frank Snepp told me the truth, when in fact what he'd gotten was simply an echo of what I'd given him in the first place via the British ambassador or other of our friendly diplomatic contacts. I am, as an ex-CIA agent, opposed to the disinformation activities in which I was involved. I admit that I was involved, and I think it served no useful purpose. Propagandizing the American public or Congress is not the CIA's job.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the horse's mouth. There you go. I guess this man, former CIA, and he's telling us exactly how propaganda works and how America is a master at doing propaganda and making it look legitimate. And if this man can tell you that they plant this information, they make journalists, they make media houses run some of these propaganda by actually confirming a lie or by echoing a lie with maybe a diplomatic mission, then you should wonder, and you should ask yourself this question: is everything that we have been told or we were told about the Ukraine-Russian crisis real? Is everything that we are being told about the Gaza Strip Palestine-Israeli crisis real? Is everything that we were told about the likes of the Hugo Chavez, Fidel Castro in Cuba, are they real? Is everything that we are being told about some of our leaders today who are fighting for us to be a free people, is it real? Now, I don't know about you, but I'm going to say this, man. For the past 6 years, man, I got to a stage where I started questioning everything that I was taught in school. Everything that I learned, man. I spent a chunk of my life living in the U.S. I just go to the US now to visit. So when somebody says, but bro, you are hardly in the US, you just go in and come out. And that is because it got to a stage where I really wanted to leave out the bubble. Now some of my brothers and sisters in the diaspora who are just prone on seeing things one-sidedly will feed in all of these propagandas that have been, coerced and fixed and pushed by people like this. Now, if this man could be saying this, that is what he used to do, of course, there are people currently in the CIA doing these things. There are people around the globe. Of course, the CIA has its agents around the globe. When they don't like a country or when they want to have an upper hand in the country, they send out these CIAs who go out and start planting these propagandas. Just like they did in Libya. Just like they did towards Putin with the Russian and the Ukraine crisis. And just like they are doing now in the Middle East. Remember they were in Afghanistan for 20 years and left like dogs with their tails around their ass? Yes, this is the whole system. So when you see things on TV, especially on these Western media houses, do not be so quick to believe them. Do not. You need to question everything. You need to ask yourself over and over and over. And just to show you an example of what I'm talking about, I'm going to play another video. There was this whole propaganda that babies were being beheaded, and I will play it and let you see exactly what happened. And then afterwards, we will talk about it. Just watch this.
Reporter from Israeli news outlet I-24 tweeted saying, "Soldiers told me they believe 40 babies, children, were killed." As the day progressed, the information morphed from at least 40 babies were killed to some were beheaded. On the day, the Israeli army could not confirm beheadings. The very next day, in London, commuters were subjected to this horrifying and unverified headline.
The Israeli Prime Minister's spokesman just confirmed babies and toddlers were found with their heads decapitated in Kfar Aza.
Israel cannot confirm the specific claim that babies were beheaded in Hamas attack.
I never really thought that I would see and have confirmed pictures of terrorists beheading children.
US official and the president have not seen pictures nor confirmed such reports independently. No one spoke to me about beheadings, let alone beheadings of children, let alone beheadings of 40 children. During the tour, we didn't see any evidence of this, and the army spokesperson or commanders also didn't mention any such incidents.
We have not seen the evidence of that. We have asked the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF, 3 times to confirm those numbers. They have not yet.
The Israeli government now says today it cannot confirm babies were beheaded. I needed to be more careful with my words, and I am sorry.
There you go. See, the Western media and the CIA, and they all planted this concept to make these people look like demons and barbaric people, which of course, we are seeing the amount of death. Of course, you might, get into that whole concept of they have the right to Israel has the right to defend itself. Yes, you have the right to defend yourself. But right after that, the killings so past retaliation level right now. And they are still doing it. But of course, you see that? They are quick to grab on this issue and just push. And then all of a sudden, they start retracting their words. No, they've not seen babies being decapitated, but they already pushed it. The propaganda already did its work. So I'm going to leave you with this. Do you always question things that you see, either on TV or on social media or what you read? You need to leave me a comment. Let's have this conversation. And be careful of what you take in. Analyze and scrutinize everything, and then you make your own judgment. Because actually, human beings, we are irrational animals, but we've evolved to a state where we can, if we actually choose to, we can actually know what is good and what is not. Especially when it comes to propaganda or not. That's my time, man. You guys be good. Do not forget to like, man. Share. I'm out here.
Celebration, reaction, God. Big up TRB family. Mr. J, I see you. I know some artists don't do this. God bless you and your family.